program is brought to you by the BARD Project. It's a Texas music program, and it's done basically for your entertainment. It's music and it's stories of Texas. And today we're here with Mr. Lee Hale. Hale's from Tarpley, Texas. My name is Clifton Pfeiffer, and hopefully we're going to bring you a little entertainment from the BARD Project.
Now, if you've never heard the word, listen close, they're kind of silly. Well, I come from Alabama with the banjo on my knee. I'm going to Louisiana for my true love to see. Well, it rained all night the day I left, the weather it was dry. The sun's so hot I froze to death. Susanna, don't you cry. Oh, Susanna, well, don't you cry for me, 'cause I come from Alabama with the banjo on my knee. Well, I had a dream the other night when everything was still. I dreamed I saw Susanna, she was coming up over that hill. A buckwheat cake was in her mouth, a tear was in her eye. I said, I'm coming from the south, Susanna, don't you cry. Oh, Susanna, well, don't you cry for me, 'cause I come from Alabama with the banjo on my knee. Kerrville was on right in the middle of actually the biggest and not the most famous, but the biggest of all the cattle trails that went north. You know, there was 3 different cattle trails that carried cattle north up to Dodge and Ogallala back during the cattle driving days, and 2 of them are pretty well known. First one was called the Chisholm Trail, and it started over there around Lockhart, and that way went up through Austin, up through Fort Worth, and on to Abilene. And after just 6 years, it was too crowded over there for them to bring the cattle up that way, and they had to move the trail farther west. So when they did that, the trail that Captain Lytle, a little town called Lytle, Texas, right down south of San Antonio is where he lived, he mapped out a new trail. All the feeder trails were all over South Texas, and they came together right before in Bandera there, and they came through Bandera Pass, and then right through Kerrville, on through Fredericksburg, and all the way up to Dodge. And that trail actually lasted the longest and had the most cattle go down it. About 80% of all the cattle that went north came right up here through Kerrville. So we're going to sing you an old cattle driving song.
Great Western Trail.
Great Western Trail is what it was called.
And then the other one was the Goodnight Loving Trail.
Yeah, later on the Goodnight Loving Trail run out through West Texas, but that was mostly to run cattle up to ranches up in Montana, not so much for the stocker market. Anyway, since we're sitting in the middle of the Great Western Trail, we're going to change the name of this song from the Old Chisholm Trail to the Great Western Trail. I tell you what, a couple of interesting history points about this song here. It's kind of interesting and I think pretty kind of neat. You know, in this song you hear that coming tie-yi, yippee, yippee, yi, yippee, yay. And you hear that saying a lot in some old cowboy songs. You have any idea what that actually is? That was actually the Comanche war whoop that the cowboy heard when the Comanches were attacking them, and made a big impression on them cowboys like it probably would have me. And they just grabbed it and put it into their song. I think that's pretty cool. And the other thing's interesting about this song is when they were started collecting old cowboy songs and the folklorists were collecting them, this song has more verses collected than any other song that's ever been collected right there. And I think there's something like 287 official verses. We're only going to do like 120 today, so hang on here. tell you my troubles on the old Bristol Trail. Come and tie ya, yippee, yippee, ya, yippee, yay. Come and tie ya, yippee, yippee, yay. On a $10 horse and a $40 saddle. Well, we started down the trail punching longhorn cattle. Come and tie ya, yippee, yippee, ya, yippee, yay. Come and tie ya, yippee, yippee, yay. We started up the trail October 23rd. We started up the trail with the two you heard. Come and tie ya, yippee, yippee, ya, yippee, yay. Come and tie ya, yippee, yippee, yay. Bacon and beans most every day. I just as soon be eating that old prairie hay. Come and tie ya, yippee, yippee, ya, yippee, yay. Come and tie ya, yippee, yippee, yay. Well, it's thunder in the west and it looks like rain, and my darn those slickers in the wagon again. Come and tie ya, yippee, yippee, ya, yippee, yay. Come and tie ya, yippee, yippee, yay. What do you want to do? You know what a crawdad is?
I'm sorry, a crawdad?
Yeah. Lives in the creek, got those pinchers, tastes real good on rice.
Some people suck their heads.
Let's sing the crawdad song
Okay.
for it. Are you going to give me my echo for me?
Okay.
This song. Listen. You get a line, I'll get a pole now, honey.
Honey,
You get a line, I'll get a pole now, babe.
oh babe.
You get a line, I'll get a pole. We'll go down to the crawdad hole.
Honey,
oh baby mine. What you gonna do when the creek runs dry now, honey?
Honey,
What you gonna do when the creek runs dry now, babe?
oh babe.
What you gonna do when the creek runs dry? Sit on the bank, watch crawdad die. Honey, oh baby mine. You gotta get my man with a sack on his back now, honey.
Honey,
You gotta get my man with a sack on his back now, babe.
oh babe.
You gotta get my man with a sack on his back. He got more crawdad than he can pack. Honey, oh baby mine. Well, you get a line, I'll get a pole now, honey.
Honey,
You get a line, I'll get a pole now, babe.
babe.
You get a line, I'll get a pole.
Let's go down to the crawdad hole.
Honey, oh baby mine. All right.
This is the Native American flute that I'm going to be playing, and it was given to the Native people for one reason and one reason only. So he could get a wife. And once he got a wife, he no longer needed the flute. They burned it up, never played it again. The only other person in the tribe that would play the flute would be the shaman, the medicine man, the preacher, the doctor, and it was all rolled up in one person. And he only played it in religious or spiritual ceremonies. So hopefully, since it's so cold out here, my flute is kind of cool, we're going to be able to get a sound out of this and maybe get some music. Again,
let you play
it is a Native American flute.
There you go.
TV land. What is this right here?
It's a turtle.
Oh, of course, it's a turtle shell. Now what I want you to do is I want you to look on the bottom of this turtle shell in here. And I want you to tell me what images do you see. Whatever you tell me you see it. Your eyes won't deceive you. If you tell me you see an alien, I'm gonna think you crazy, but I believe you. Because you are looking at it through your own mind's eye, and no one knows what's in your mind but you. So take a good look. Yeah, whatever you tell me you see, it's there. You see it. Now, I get lots of different answers. Some people tell me they see a footprint. Some people tell me they see a thumbprint. Some people tell me they see flowers.
I see spots.
Yes, some people tell me spots. Some folks tell me a smiley face. Some people tell me eyes. There's a whole lot of different things that you could see in the shell. But what I want you to notice is the obvious. I want you to notice the lines. These lines look like an old quilt that your great-grandmother would have made. According to the African and to the Native American, when the world was created, the Creator didn't create people first, He created animals. And He gave every animal the ability to speak, including this little turtle. But you see, this little turtle was a bully. Of course, y'all know what a bully is, don't you? While the other little animals were out playing, this little turtle would sneak up behind them, and he'd bite them on the heels, he'd bite them on the tails, he'd bite them on their paws, and then he would go inside of his shell and they couldn't get him out. They would slide him up against the hills, they slide him up against the rocks, they slide him up against the trees, but they couldn't get him out of his shell. And when they would leave, he would flip over and he would creep and crawl back to safety, creep and crawl back to where he felt comfortable, the water. Well, the animal parents became upset with this turtle. And they went to the chief and they said, "Chief, something has to happen to him because he's hurting our children." So the chief said, "We'll call a big meeting like we're standing here, and we'll give every animal person the opportunity to speak." Well, the first to speak were the mightiest of all the birds, the great eagle. The eagle said, "I'll take this little turtle in my claws. I'll fly as high as the heavens. I'll drop him in the rocks. It'll crush his shell and he'll be no more." And the chief said, No, we don't want to kill him. We only want to get his attention." Well, the next to speak were the Ram brothers, the mightiest of all the goats. They said that we'll place him between our horns. We'll rear up, hit our heads together, and again we'll split him down the middle and he'll be no more. And the chief said, No, we don't want to kill him. We only want to get his attention. Well, all of the animal people spoke. And the last to speak was the old woman, the wise old owl. She said, "Let's pray to the Creator." Well, they began to pray to the Creator, and the Creator said, "In the morning, you'll get your answer." Well, as this little turtle was creeping and crawling back to safety, creeping and crawling back to where he felt comfortable, the water, a great storm came up. What happens in the sky when there's a storm? Yes, it rains, it gets dark, it gets gray, it thunders, it lightnings. A great bolt of lightning came from the heavens, struck this little turtle on his shell, and scattered into hundreds of pieces, and it stunned the turtle. It knocked him out. And when he woke up, he was cold and he was shivering, and he noticed that he didn't have any clothing on. And he looked out and saw all of his little shells scattered all over the ground. And he thought back to a time when he did something that he should not have done, when he was a bully. And he too prayed to the Creator. "Oh, Creator, if you will only give me back my home, I'll be a good turtle from now on. I'll be a bully no more." So the Creator told him to gather some wood, build a fire, and then put his little shells back together as close as they could, and then put it by the fire. And the Creator said, "The heat from the fire, the heat from the sun will melt your shell. And at the end of the day, you'll have a home." So that little turtle, he got busy and gathered up all of those pieces of his shell, and he put each one back exactly like it was. No matter how tiny or hard or difficult it is, he put it back the same way. And then he put it by the fire. And just like the Creator promised, the heat from the fire, the heat from the sun melted his shell. And at the end of the day, he had a home. But as a reminder to him of a time when he did something that he should not have done, when he was a bully, the Creator gave him a patch. Just like the Creator has given the turtle a patch, He's given each of us a patch. Your patch is called your heart. Your patch is called your mind. Your patch is called your conscience. So before you're about to do something that you should or shouldn't do, little ones, like disobey your parents, your teachers, or any adult who's telling you the right thing to do. And adults, only you know what you're supposed to do, being adults. Be like the patchwork turtle. Consult your patch, and you can't go wrong. Legend of the patchwork turtle.
lost my partner, what'll I do? Lost my partner, what'll I do? Lost my partner, what'll I do? Skip diddle-doo, my darling. Got me another one pretty than you.
Impossible.
Got me another one pretty than
Can't
you.
be.
Got me another one pretty than
Yeah.
you. Skip to my loo, my darling. Skip, skip, skip to my loo. Skip, skip, skip to my loo. Skip, skip, skip to my loo. Skip to my loo, my darling.
This is called ham boning.
Now this next verse got some pretty kind of interesting deals here. Me and Clifton both have a different take on it, what it means. It goes like this. Going to Texas 2 by 2, going to Texas 2 by 2, going to Texas 2 by 2, skip to Baloo, my darling. Now what I think this means, back in the days when they came from Tennessee and coming over here, they called it GTT, gone to Texas. A lot of times they wrote that on their wagon and they wrote it on their cabins when they left, so everybody knew where they went. And so GTT is what that term means. And so when they're saying going to Texas 2 by 2, I think of it on their wagons running 4 horses, 2 and 2, running together like this. So they're going to Texas 2 by 2. Now Clifton's got a different take on it. Either one of them could be real. We don't know, but it's pretty interesting.
When the cattle drives, when the wagon trains were headed wherever they were going, they had the wagons with them, and you could only go on if you had a partner, 2 by 2, and they preferred a married couple going. Well, sometimes you couldn't find all married couples, so people would partner up just for the time being until they got where they were going. So thus you get the 2 by 2, because you couldn't go on there by a single person, couldn't go by itself.
You gonna do some more
A
ham
single
bone?
lady. Yeah, let's do that.
Do the ham bone part. So here we go with that song. Going to Texas 2 by 2, going to Texas 2 by 2, going to Texas 2 by 2, skip to Baloo, my darling. Skip, skip, skip to Baloo, skip, skip, skip to Baloo, skip, skip, skip to Baloo, skip to Baloo, my darling. I tell you what, Clifton, you look a little bit cold. Maybe we should warm you up. Go a little
ahead,
faster.
I think I'm ready.
This story quite a few years ago, and you got to listen close on this one, and it goes like this. Now, little Larry Lizard liked Linda Lou Lizard. She was his gal pal, his girlfriend, but mostly just the friend part. Now, little Larry Lizard liked Linda Lou Lizard because they both liked to lay in the sun till long around lunch licking on licorice. And little Larry's daddy's name was Leonard, and Leonard was a long lizard, and lots of folks like to call him Lanky Leonard. And little Larry's mama's name was Lucy, and Lanky Leonard thought Miss Lucy was a luscious lady. Now Larry had a little sister, and her name was Lori, but everybody called her Lolly, because she liked to lick lollipops, lizard lollipops, you know, the kind with flies and stuff in them. Now little Lolly, little Larry, Miss Lucy, and Lanky Leonard lived in a log cabin up on a ledge up on Lonely Lookout Mountain, and they liked living there. Now sometimes little Lolly would tease little Larry. She'd say things like, "Little Larry, Linda Lou wishes you'd kiss her." And little Larry would turn livid. He'd lash out at Lolly, and she'd lope back to the log cabin just a laughing. Now Lanky Leonard would sometimes accuse little Larry of being lazy because he liked to lay around till long around lunch, but most likely he just liked to relax. Now one time little Larry and Linda Lou were laying in the sun along around mid-morning when up raced Ronnie Roadrunner. Now Ronnie Roadrunner was a self-righteous rascal, and he raced everywhere he went at a rapid rate. If there's one thing that really riled old Ronnie Roadrunner, it was listlessness. And one thing he couldn't stand was lazy lizards. Now Ronnie Roadrunner rationalized that every time he was to eat a lazy lizard, the whole world would be just a little bit better off, and especially him. So when old Ronnie Roadrunner raced up, reached out, was ready to reel in little Linda Lou, little Larry Lizard leaped up larger than life, and he landed right on Ronnie Roadrunner's head, and he licked his left eyeball. Now Ronnie Roadrunner reacted and got distracted. Little Linda Lou scurried over and lay underneath the leaf. And little Larry climbed up top, grabbed a handful of feathers and yelled, "Don't look, Linda Lou! I'm fixing to terrorize this brush turkey!" And then little Larry climbed down the other side and he licked Ronnie Roadrunner's right eyeball. Now Ronnie Roadrunner thought that was revolting and disgusting and began to shake his head and snap his beak trying to get at little Larry. And little Larry climbed a little bit closer. When Ronnie Roadrunner opened up his mouth, little Larry Lizard reached in and grabbed old Ronnie Roadrunner's bright red tongue and he pulled it out. And Ronnie Roadrunner snapped his beak shut, right onto his tongue. Now when Ronnie Roadrunner realized what he'd done, he reeled and he roared and he ran off ranting and a raving right back to the ragweeds. And little Larry leaped off and went over to where Linda Lou was laying and he gave her this lingering hug. Now when little Larry and Linda Lou got back to the ledge up on Lonely Lookout Mountain, little Linda Lou told everybody about what little Larry had done. Why, even little Lolly looks up to little Larry now. Lately, Lakey Leonard's taken to call little Larry Sir Lancelot. And so ends my tale of how little Larry Lizard saved his true love, Linda Lou, and how he licked a Ronnie Roadrunner, fair and square.
Going down south to see my gal singing Polly-Wolly-Doodle all day. My gal, she is a spunky gal singing Polly-Wolly-Doodle all day. Fare thee well, fare thee well, fare thee well, my fairy fay. I'm going to Louisiana for to see my Susanna singing Polly-Wolly-Doodle all day. My gal, she is a maiden fair, singing Polly-Wolly-Doodle all day. With laughing eyes and curling hair, singing Polly-Wolly-Doodle all day. Fare thee well, fare thee well, fare thee well, my fairy fay. I'm going to Louisiana for to see my Susanna singing Polly-Wolly-Doodle all day. Out behind the barn, down on my knees, singing Polly-Wolly-Doodle all day. I thought I heard a chicken singing Polly-Wolly-Doodle all day. Fare thee well, fare thee well, fare thee well, my fairy fay. I'm going to Louisiana for to see my Susanna singing Polly-Wolly-Doodle all day. Well, he sneezed so hard with the whooping cough, singing Polly-Wolly-Doodle all day. He sneezed his tail in him, Polly-Wolly-Doodle all day. Fare thee well, fare thee well, fare thee well, my fairy fay. I'm going to Louisiana for to see my Susanna singing Polly-Wolly-Doodle all day. I think we need to warm the Clifton up some more. You ready for this one?
I'm ready.
Fare thee well, fare thee well, fare thee well, my fairy fay. I'm going to Louisiana for to see my Susanna singing Polly-Wolly-Doodle all day. Fare thee well, fare thee well, fare thee well, my fairy fay. I'm going to Louisiana for to see my Susanna singing Polly-Wolly-Doodle all day. Fare thee well, fare thee well, fare thee well, my fairy fay. I'm going to Louisiana for to see my Susanna singing Polly-Wolly-Doodle all day. Slow down before I hyperventilate.
I'm getting there.
Well, the grasshopper sitting on the railroad track singing Polly-Wolly-Doodle all day. He's picking his teeth with a carpet tack singing Polly-Wolly-Doodle all day. Fare thee well, fare thee well, fare thee well, my fairy Fairy Bay. I'm going to Louisiana for to see my Susanna singing Polly-Wolly-Doodle all day. Fare thee well, fare thee well, fare thee well, my Fairy Bay. I'm going to Louisiana for to see my Susanna singing Polly-Wolly-Doodle all day. Wow, that was almost pretty. That was almost pretty.
The BARD project, a music program that we produce practically all over the place. And this is Lee Hale, Clifton Pfeiffer, and we're so happy to be able to bring this to you.
Be a part of this whole program.
Oh, yeah.
It's fun.